Uh, All right. So everybody, thanks so much for listening to us on the podcast or the radio, wherever you're listening to us. We really appreciate it. Please get out the word, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We need to get these interviews out to as many people as possible because the mainstream media is not getting out the messages that we need. So, and this is Pam Garrison. She is down in West Virginia. We're going to be talking about Joe Manchin and politics in West Virginia in general. And she's also helping out with the Poor People's Campaign and many other campaigns all over West Virginia. So Pam, first of all, thanks so much for coming on. I know you bring the fire when you come on, so I'm looking forward to this.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say, the Poor People's Campaign, I don't speak for them, but we're a movement, and I am part of the movement. And so I just want to let you know that I speak for myself. But the Poor People's Campaign, that's what they're about. They give the people the platform. Because the corporations, the politicians, they have news at the clip of a finger. But they never get to hear our side. They never get to hear from the people. And so the Poor People's Campaign, when they come into your state, they give your people the platform. So you hear from your people, your constituents. And we all move together as one.
Can you tell the viewers about West Virginia and that history behind the politics there?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Bernie, because in West Virginia, they say we're a deep red state, that, Trump won us by like 40-some%. But they don't tell you that Bernie Sanders in the primary won every county in West Virginia.
Right.
So, and a lot of why they took and left the Democratic Party is Democratic Party was supposed to be a party of the people, party of the unions, all that. After our mines closed down, nothing was brought in. We just got sicker, we got poorer. They went to looking at other, Republicans or other policies for help. And that ain't helped us either. We've still gotten sicker and we've gotten poorer. A lot of what we are fighting is what has came to a head from decades of the people being complacent and letting the corporations buy our politicians, buy our policies, make our policies, and we've been told we're collateral damage, but y'all keep feeding this greedy monster, y'all keep giving to us or your whole country will collapse. That's a lie. The propaganda machine here in West Virginia now, they're pouring in millions in ads, the commerces and the corporations, to keep us to defend their greed. Oh, y'all just keep giving to us. Don't change nothing. We don't want these systems changed. And we're saying, people, this is our government. Stand up, join us, get involved. Doing nothing is not. We were from where we were from the last investment in the reconstruction in our country. When our country was invested in, we became the world power. We became the leaders. We had morals. We led with morals at that time. We have seen the corrosion, the politics, the corrosion, to the point to where we don't even matter what we say anymore. Our words aren't even being listened to anymore. And they're lying, saying, Joe Manchin saying, you ain't heard from your constituents. There's been hundreds, thousands of us, doing everything. We have had, in West Virginia, we have had motorcades, we have had revivals, we have had marches. We've been to DC. I have been arrested twice up there trying to get them to listen, but it's going to take, to get a difference, it's going to take the people joining and quit letting them separate us. You don't have poor Democrats and no poor Republicans. We're all poor, Democrats and Republicans. They don't send just one side's kids to war. They send all our kids to war. You know, people, we have to start looking at who we're putting in office and who they're really representing, you know.
So going into 2022, which we're in now, what would you say to these Democrats and even Republicans that say Joe Biden and the Democratic Party is not doing anything to help working people? They just talk down to a lot of working people, saying they're racist, saying that they're, hillbillies, they're dumb. I remember Hillary Clinton saying people are deplorables that vote for Trump. So what would you say to these people that are kind of think that Democrats are elitist, and if they don't think that, they think that they don't get anything done?
I'm glad people are getting sick of these systems. That's what I'm fighting against. Let's change these systems. We have let them put policies and systems that's worked against us. Great. I'm not about one side or the other. Let's take and start looking at what they're voting for, how they're voting. Are they voting against? My representatives have voted against me for everything. They voted to take my health care. They voted not to give me any kind of stimulus through this pandemic. Anything that's for the people, that's when you start hearing them pretty words: bipartisanship, compromise, filibuster. We went through 13 years of a do nothing, say nothing Congress. What did that get us?
Nothing.
Where did we get there? All right, you want the Democrats and Republicans to work together, then you start taking and looking at your senators and your House representatives in your state, because the president ain't God. He can do so much, but the House and the Senate's making these laws, and they're the ones who's got the pocketbook. So if you want Build Back Better, I don't care if your senator is Democrat or Republican. Are you on the phone with them like I am? Are you in their face every day like I am? Don't just put it on the Democrats. I want the Republicans to start expecting as much out of the Republicans as they do out of the Democrats. And then let's see where that gets us. Because when you're saying, hey, well, how can you compromise when you got one side that you give them all they want and they still say no? We let Joe Manchin take and destroy down to the bare bone with the Build Back Better, and he's still saying no. That goes to show you they are bought off. They are not going to go against their money and their systems, their power systems they have built. The Poor People's Campaign has done studies. If just 2% of the poor and low wage people that hasn't been engaged voted and got engaged, we could change this systems. We could move, we could do something and make our country what we want it to be. We are tired of living with the oligarchs. Oh, we got to take care of the businesses. Oh, if we give you a living wage, the whole country. When I was making $1.35 an hour, I heard that same thing about minimum wage. It's the propaganda, people, and we have got to quit listening to the Jim Joneses and quit being blind. And then it's like being ruled by abusers that want to abuse you and then say, but I'm doing it out of love because I love you. I mean, come on, how much more beatings can we take? How much more of this poison are we going to drink? It's time for people to join together, to join us. It's about, and let me tell you, Democrat or Republican, if they're not doing what you want them to, then read the Constitution. We have got these rights. Even though our senators have rolled them up, stomped them, threw them in the trash, we still got them. And they're still ours. We have shed blood for them. Stand on them. Our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. This is our government. This is our lives. And so it's going to take us. It's going to take the people joining, because as long as they can keep us fighting over guns, abortion, critical race theory bull crap, they're in the back rooms killing us and got their knee on our necks, and they don't want these systems to change. When our country incarcerates more of its citizens than any country there is, and we're supposed to be one of those industrial modern countries, there's something wrong.
Can you talk about West Virginia and how it's really changed over the years since you've been living there, and how these businesses closing down that were maybe good union jobs, they closed down and they just, now there's people just living in poverty and they're just living like a third world country.
Well, we're like a lot of states. They replaced our good jobs, our good union jobs, or innovated. We have done let ourselves. You know, we would probably have good paying jobs now in totally new industries if we hadn't listened to the climate deniers and all that, to where, we would have had new industries innovated if we hadn't kept our entrepreneurs held down and held back, the big corporations and stuff. They don't want no competition. They don't want that, But here in West Virginia, they've replaced it, like most places, with minimum wage service jobs. We have went from an industrial nation to a service nation.
Right.
We service everybody. Here in West Virginia, after the mines, they invested in tourism. What's tourism? It's a lot of minimum wage jobs. We are one of the most senior states. That's a lot of healthcare workers that are making $9 an hour and trying to live. But at the same time, they're saying, oh, we can't give you a living wage and a minimum wage raise. But rent has went up $1,200-$1,600 a month. Groceries has tripled, quadrupled. Utilities keep going up. They just gave, in the middle of the pandemic, they gave our water and utility companies both 17-point-some% raises. Then Joe Manchin and Capito came sweeping in here and lobbied our Public Service Commission to make them put more money on us to keep their 3 coal power plants going till 2040. They have put that burden on West Virginia backs, and us one of the poorest states there is. That benefits nothing but the Joe Manchin. That's what he's about. He's not about us, the people. He's done put his time in there. He ain't really caring, I don't think, about the next election, because I think he'll be a lobbyist or something like that. People say, oh, I think he'll go back. He's going to run for governor. That's a step back for him. He ain't going to step back. I don't think that. I think he's got other plans. But as far as his plans, he's still our senator for till 2024. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to still keep trying to push him to do the right thing, and to, because, I didn't see none of them have no problem with carving out the filibuster to raise the debt ceiling. I didn't see him have not a bit of trouble giving $770-some billion to the military budget. Not a problem one. We tried to tell him, before you pass the infrastructure bill, which mostly profits its corporations, businesses, right, contractors, which without no raises, no wage raises or nothing, that's going to be still just, to me, they're going to be getting slave labor jobs. And we tried to tell them, if you don't pass them separate, pass them together. If they don't pass the infrastructure bill without the BBB, pass them as a package, pass them together. They wouldn't listen to us. They didn't listen to us, separated them. Now look what we've got. They've got their money in their contracts. What's the people got?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. It's terrible. And I know the progressives were fighting for that. They put trust in President Biden to get that passed. And obviously that trust was naive. But that's my opinion. I know people have different thoughts on that. I'm very disappointed.
I think Biden still thinks he's dealing with the old ways, the old Congress, the way it was when they had dignity and respect and, morals. I think it's just hitting him what kind of Congress that he's having to deal with now. It's a dog-eat-dog one now.
Well, he should have known this, though, Pam, in a way, because he was President Obama's vice president. They were doing the same crap to Obama that they're doing now. So, right. I mean, I think that he should have known that. If he didn't, he's kind of gullible.
So long, and then you got to play hardball.
Yeah. So, I was hoping that we might get somebody like an LBJ, that if Joe Manchin didn't do what he said, he would have got Joe Manchin by the throat and said, you better do this or I'll make sure you get knocked out of power and you don't get a job again. But we don't have Democratic leaders that are strong like that, unfortunately. It's really sad. And say what you want about Trump or the Republicans in general, they have leaders like that. You know, I don't agree with their policies, but you know what? If they want to get something done, they will do it. And if you don't do what they say, like Trump, he will have you primaried and make sure that you get knocked out or you don't run again. And that's what he's done to many people. So I give him credit, even though I don't like the man. I give him credit for being able to do that. I wish we had a Democrat that was able to do that. But unfortunately, we don't have any Democrat that really has, you know, that type of power. It's really unfortunate, because if we did, we would be getting a lot of stuff done for the people instead of for the corporations, which has been going on.
I agree with that. They act like they're scared to death to say boo, or that's like they'll see a crime right in front of them. They'll go, the alleged crime. I'm like, what alleged crime? We just watched the thing on TV. It ain't alleged. It did just happen. I mean, come on. Quit trying to play political politics there and politically correct bull crap. Because I think the reason that they did cling to Trump wasn't because they like these policies or nothing. It's because they're hungry for that kind of leader. America is hungry for leadership. I've got my governor here that does nothing but sit and blame the president. You're in power, you do your thing, you know. But everything that goes wrong, oh, it's the president's fault. It ain't my fault, you know. I mean, come on. You've got to take personal responsibility. That is your job. And I'm so sick of hearing, well, it's up to the state if they do anything. Well, we are not the state of America. We're the United States of America. And what affects one affects us all. And when there is criminals and criminal policies and stuff going on that needs federally addressed, like our voting rights, then it needs to be federal, not by the state. We all need to play by the same rules.
I do want to get into Joe Manchin. There's so much to get into, and I'm just going to let you lay it all out there once I tee this up for you. You know, Joe Manchin is really a crook. There was something that just came out, and I'm sure you heard about this, but if the people that are listening didn't hear about this, Joe Manchin is actually being sued by his brother over a loan. It just came out, and I'll read this right off the screen. He's being sued by one of his brothers because he did not repay a $1.7 million loan for a family carpet business. We heard about that. Joe Biden gave his wife a job, and I think that was to try to get him to vote for some of these bills, and we saw how that's went. Joe Manchin's daughter should be in prison, I believe, because of the insulin issue and her charging so much for insulin and people dying because they couldn't get this. So this family is as crooked as hell. And it seems like a lot of this doesn't really get out to the mainstream media. I laugh because, you know, all these liberals I'm friends with, they listen to CNN, and when these people from CNN and MSNBC interview Joe Manchin, they never really bring up these things, such as he's being sued, such as his daughter. You know, there's been like maybe one or two reporters throughout this whole time that even asked maybe one or two tough questions. It's despicable that these reporters aren't asking him about this. And let's make Joe Manchin and any senator, Democrat or Republican, voting against this uncomfortable. So what would you say about this? Why is this not getting out to people in West Virginia or to people in general? And not even that, and then I'll shut up and let you answer. How about his daughter? And he paid this college to make sure she could get a master's degree. And he ended up shutting that college down because they didn't want to go for that. So there's so many things, and I'm sorry to get excited, but there's so many things with this family.
Well, You know, them dynasties that get established and it's like having mafia families. All right, I remember when Shelley Moore Capito's dad was governor. Well, after he robbed us blind and bankrupted us for 2 years, I got IOUs, you know, and then here we are. Well, what did that? You know, their kids now are in there. Shelley Moore Capito, her son's in there. The dynasties, they buy everything, they entrench everything the same way with the Manchins. You've got the Republicans here in West Virginia that no matter what Shelley Moore Capito does, they're going to defend it, and you're going to get the sound bites. You ain't going to get no whole story of what really happened. You go get what sound bites they want you to hear. And that's all you're going to hear on the main street is the same old sound bites over and over, trying to get that, you know, get them news ratings instead of putting out what's happening, what's really happening on the ground. And that's what I've been trying to tell them. Get out of your glass houses, your bubbles, get out on the streets, get out here with us, see what's really happening, what's really going on. But no, they want to hide, you know, and put out, like I said, the propaganda has been one of my most challenging, trying to dispute the debt ceiling. All right, if you're so worried about the debt ceiling, how come there ain't none of the filthy rips of corporations, nobody but us supporting the United States and paying the bills? You want to pay the bills, then you make everybody pay their fair share, and you make them pay their fair share. That's bull, that they get corporate welfare and they got corporate loopholes, and the poor people, then they put us out there to die without even a minimum wage, and we're essential then. We kept this country going, the minimum wage workers and the low wage workers did. Yeah. But as far as representation, we got these mafias, these entrenched families, and the money has got to where it has, that they're like Citizens United. We even got them saying corporations has got a right to buy your votes legally. I mean, I don't understand how that has not been challenged. I think, you know, that's made it even worse, you know, but that's what they were working to do, was get them kind of laws and them kind of things in there against us.
So Joe Manchin ran in 2018. That was his last election against Pat Morsi, who, you know, it's the worst versus the worst.
Exactly.
That's even, if those even correct grammar, but whatever, we'll go with that. You know, so
in West Virginia for the last 2 elections, we've held our nose to vote for Joe Manchin to keep Morsi from getting it.
Yeah. Why are these people that are progressives having trouble winning in West Virginia? Is it the West Virginia Democratic Party that's, you know, making them struggle? Are there other things? Is it just Joe Manchin's name?
I think it's a little bit of everything you said. I think the name recognition, you know, there's a lot of them that just vote, you know, the name. Another part of it is Joe Manchin does control the Democratic Party here. Yeah. There is reformers in the party. I do have some hope, because there is reformers in the Democratic Party here trying to reform the party and get them back to following their own bylaws and charters and doing the things that they was supposed to have been doing since 1974. So that gives me a little bit of hope with the party. But I think they are up against the money and the propaganda. I think you got the propaganda machine that comes at them, but I don't think the Democratic Party supports them and gives them the funding and things that they need to battle back against the kind of propaganda to be able to do the things that they would need to do to win. You mentioned Stephen Smith, and then one thing about their thing is they take no corporate money. They take no corporate influences like that. That is one of the big things with them, is signing on that way you know whose interest they are really representing, is how I look at it. And I applaud that. But like I said, I think just like the Lindsey Grahams, the Mitch McConnells, the same old bunches that everybody just keeps putting in there and thinking they're going to get a different result. They're not. And they have got it so rigged to where they sit back and do nothing but say no and still get hundreds of thousands and millions, so why should they change? It's going to take the people to make them change, to make a change. Quit sitting, everybody's talking about trying to blame Joe Manchin or Joe Biden and stuff, which they are a lot of the problem. That is the problem in our face. But we got to be the solution, and we got to take part of the responsibility. If we don't get out and vote, then they're going to put in who they want to, and that's what we're going to get. If you don't get out and organize, if you don't come join us in DC and stuff and say, no, get online, make your calls to your senators and your representatives, make your voices heard, stand up, wake up.
How the progressive movement is forming. Are they making a lot of gains or even some gains in West Virginia?
Yes, they are. They've been really, really working hard. This past election, the 2018, they've got several of their candidates elected. Like I said, there's progressives in the Democratic Party trying to reform it from the inside. And I think West Virginia was looking for that something, because they couldn't get the establishment to listen to them, and was doing totally opposite of what the people were wanting, like they're still doing. And so I think that's why the West Virginia Can't Wait appealed to so many people. And they're from all over West Virginia, one end of West Virginia to the other, at all age groups. You got West Virginia Can't Wait educators, you got West Virginia Can't Wait seniors, you got West Virginia Can't Wait everything, And so it's not just one section of the electorate that they have went and are representing. It's your LGBTQ, it's the Latinx. We're trying to, they're trying to reach out to so many different constituents. So I applaud them for that, because the old systems is what we've got to break. These old buddy systems, these old paying favors, these backroom deals. We got to get rid of this crap. We need transparency. We need to know what kind of deals they're making for us.
Any candidates that people that are listening or even watching this podcast should watch out for in West Virginia that personally or have heard of?
Well, there's several. They are trying to get different ones, trying to get good people to run, here in West Virginia. Right off the top of my head, I haven't heard of any of them that's really decided yet who's running for governor or who's running against anyone. But like I said, for me, start paying attention to and start questioning these candidates. Like with one you just hear, oh, I'm gonna protect your Second Amendment. All right, are you going to protect my schools? Are you going to protect my rivers? Are you going to protect my income? If that's all you're about, well, you ain't gonna do me no good, because I could care less about a gun. I want to know what you're going to stand for and help with me, what you're going to make better, or what you're going to be worse, or what you are going to be silent on. Because in our politics, silence has killed us as much as policies. When you see evil, when you see corruption, when you see things that are going to hurt the people, then that's where it comes to what you're talking about and what I've been talking about. Stand up, have a backbone. What is your principles? What do you stand for? That's what I want to know. You know, most of them, like I said, why is Senator Manchin on the Energy Committee in the Senate
Right.
when he is stockholder and he's going to protect that to that last chunk of coal, no matter how bad it puts West Virginia or whoever in poverty or keeps us held back or whatever. He will protect his self-interest. How come they can get knowledge of things that are going to happen and do insider trading, but they're not held accountable for that,
Yeah.
Like Loeffler Purdue, you know who I'm talking about. There's been several of them, You do insider trading, but then you walk. There's no accountability. What's an ethics committee for?
Right.
What, have you seen them hold anybody, done anything about the total unethics that we have seen? I mean, blatant.
Well, they're making money off the stocks. We even saw Nancy Pelosi, do this too, along with Loeffler and Purdue. Purdue's running for, yeah.
Where's the accountability?
Yeah. No, I agree. Purdue's running for governor of Georgia. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi's the Speaker of the House. I mean, it's really disgusting what's going on in this country. And like I said, doesn't matter Democrat or Republican. The majority of these people are corrupt. And that's why people are sick of it. That's why a lot of people don't even go out and vote anymore, because they just are fed up. And it's really bad. And it's almost like a lot of these politicians want that to happen. They just don't want people to vote, whatever side they're on, because they just want to keep the corruption going. Luckily, we do have some people like John Ossoff, who just, became senator from Georgia. He's putting up something, to, see if they can, figure that out. And I know he was running against Purdue with that insider trading. So he's trying to put up a bill about that. So I commend him for doing that. Whether that's going to pass or not, it's going to be hard because all the corruption, like you said. But regardless of that, at least he's trying, and I'll end with this. It's just, I feel like the only way we're going to get anything done, whether it's any kind of policy as far as progressive policy, or get any of these people in that are really good progressives, that they're just your mom and pop running that store in your neighborhood. And these are the people we need because, they know the local issues. They know what's going on with the regular working people. The only way those people get in is if we take money out of politics and get that campaign finance reform. Like you said, get rid of that Citizens United decision, because otherwise nothing's going to change. The money just keeps flowing in from big pharma, from big oil, from all these big companies, and they just do whatever they say, and they give you maybe a crumb or two on the side if you're lucky. So,
and they don't want the systems to change.
Right.
That's like the Poor People's Campaign. We had Representative Lee and Jan Paul to introduce the third Reconstruction on the floor. There is strategies, there is common sense solutions and stuff, but the money keeps fighting. They don't want that out. They want to keep that down. They would rather have everybody hating and scared to death. Oh, fear, fear, fear. We're supposed to fear the brown man, fear the woman, fear the guy. We're supposed to fear, fear, fear. And that's how America's done got to where it's making its decisions. And we got to start making decisions on a ray of hope. We can do better than this. We are better than this, and we have got good, intelligent people. But the money, like you said, we are fighting the money. They have got all the money and they are trying tooth and nail. That's why the progressives have gained. People are looking at the progressives because the two-party systems, the way they're structured, is not representing the people. It's not helping the people. And so we have got to either get it out, start making it transparent and accountable, You know, we've got to do something, because the road we're going now, they want to be the oligarchs. They want us to be the peasants. You know, that's the system they've been working on for decades. And we've got to get caught up. You know, we've got to mobilize. We've got to organize. We have got to join. And yeah, you might have some little issue here and there, but for the common good and what we all agree on, we can come together and make changes.
Right.
But like I said, we got to drown out the machine. And you said the mainstream media, it feeds the machine. That's the reason I appreciate you, Jordan, the Poor People's Campaign, that is using what means we can to get our words out, because that's all we have. But that's what's connecting people. That's how we're connecting.